Because if they don't, there'll be problem at home. There are more than 8 sisters that they are having the same conversation with. These are not holy brethren. I'm not talking to you as one who has not fallen before. I have fallen. But I didn't lie to myself. So I cried to God anytime I fall to help me rise. So this is not self-righteousness. This is showing you the standard of God. And as you imbibe it, grace will be supplied to help you. So these are the dimensions of purity. Be pure in all manner of conversation. If you do this, you will see the power of purity. And very quickly, because of our time, let me itemize few powers that true biblical purity confers on men. You know, as a traveler, I had to sit down to begin to learn all these things. Because when I started traveling at first, the only dimension of power I knew is the power that comes from the stirring of the Holy Spirit. So before I go to preach, I pray in tongues for hours. When I'm preaching, everywhere has to be on fire for power to move. I now realize it's not every day I'm preaching. As I started growing, some people call me 2 a.m. in the morning. Somebody is dying. Where is the time to go and be stirred? You are walking in the market. As I was coming into the country today, a guy ran to me in business class, knelt down, and said, please pray for me. I was so ashamed. I said, stand up for where? The more I drag him, the more he knelt. In order not to waste time, I said, Father, bless him. I said, it's well with you, sir. Prayer short so that I can go away. How do you go and start stirring yourself there? That means there are many tributaries to power. It can't just be you are stirred. If you are not stirred, there's no power. No, sir. Most of the testimonies we record come from casual moments. Somebody runs into you in the market, you'll say it is well, and things change. I sat with my wife in the house when the brother with the sister came and complained they rejected him from a football club. Go! Divine intervention. 48 hours later, the same coach called him. Augusta, I didn't come from prayer. You need different dimensions of power to be relevant. Otherwise, you will end up a religious man who will only manifest power in a church service. But for you to walk in power all the time, you need to know the different dimensions or indicators of power in scripture. And purity is one of it. There are certain powers you will never have until you live a pure life. Don't let anybody deceive you. He said, who shall stand upon the mountains of God? Who shall stand upon his holy hills? He says, him that is of a pure hand, of a pure heart, who has not lifted his soul in vanity. So you'll find men wielding powers in the courts of God. Purity is defining it. And there are different things that provoke power. But quickly, let's look at the powers of purity. Number one, purity grants access and sustenance of God's presence. Find people who always carry tangible dimension of God's presence. Amongst other things, purity is there. Purity is not the only thing. Humility sponsors it. Obedience sponsors it. He said, if you obey me, I and my Father will come and make our house with you. He said, him that is humble, he said, God will shower grace. Who should I look upon? He said, a man that is of a contrite heart and of a broken spirit. So humility, obedience, but purity also provokes presence. If you want to carry God's presence, be pure, sir. Live a holy life. I, oh Lord, am of a purer eyes. My eyes cannot behold iniquity. You can't move around with iniquity and expect God's presence to validate you. That's why today men of God are looking for all kinds of things to validate them. In the days of the fathers, You didn't need to snap a picture with somebody to have validation. When they walk into a city, they came with a cloud. God himself is the one who announces them. How do you think this man took the word without internet, without telephone? How did they take the word? There was something they carried. When Moses came to the courts of Pharaoh, there was no credential. God was his credential. The God of the Hebrew have sent me. Let my people go that they may serve me. Who is he? Don't worry, he will come here. I didn't come with theology, but I came with presence. I may not have theology, but I have presence. I have presence. And the guy dropped his rod, and his rod became a serpent. The Egyptians wise men did it. Moses' rod swallowed their own. And as you study that story, you see that the presence kept growing. After the 10th plague, the presence became Shekinah. That which was invincible became visible. And when they went out, the Bible says God went before them as a pillar of cloud by day and as a pillar of fire by night. The presence had built up upon the man until it became a cloud. We are shouting, singing. God's presence is not there because our garments are not pure. Something is wrong with our being. Blessed are the pure in heart. I quoted already Matthew 5:8. They are the ones who see God. Who stands? Who is he that stands in the mountains of God? Psalm 24 verse 3 to 5. Who stands upon his holy hills is the man that is of a pure heart. His hands are clean. He has not lifted his soul in vanity. You find people who carry God's presence in a sustained manner. Check. There's something they are doing with grace to keep their garments pure. We lack God's presence. And when you lack God's presence, you will suffer. You will suffer. Your Christianity will be bedeviled with a lot of crises that you can't resolve. What did Moses have? All Moses carried that made him shut down Egypt, walk through the Sinai desert, enter the promised land was God's presence. The Bible said their shoe grew with them. Their garments did not wax old. That means a man who carries God's presence has abundance. He said he rebuked kings for their sakes. Touch not my anointed. Do my prophets no harm. Nobody could fight them. God's presence. And you need to read the Bible to know the people they battled with. The Bible spoke of Sihon, the king of the Amorite. It spoke of Og, the king of Bashan. Their warriors were beastly men. A man could stand up and he looked like a bear. Some of them had hairs like tigers. Those were the people they were fighting. There was no military training. They were not even coordinated because they were slaves all their lives. But without military intelligence, without economic power, they went with the Shekinah. Nations opened. Armies were shut down. Provisions came. Even the rock gave them water. What are you talking? The rock. The Bible said he cleft the rock also and the waters gushed out. In the desert, how can water come in the desert? When they needed food, manna came from heaven and they told Moses, we want to eat meat. Moses said, why are you tempting God? God said, no, tell them to go forward. Even in the desert, meat can come. And the Bible said he commanded the east wind and he brought quails. Birds were sitting on bed. So there was meat, there was food, there was protection, there was provision because of the presence. He suffered no man to do them harm. He gave a commandment in the spirit. Touch not my anointed. Do my prophets no harm. They carried the presence. How have we become so helpless? How have we become so powerless? How have we become so useless? Because there's no presence. They had to look for men to cause them to be able to fight them because they were too powerful and they were using stones. He said, the Lord is my banner. When they went to fight, all Moses needed to do was to put his hand up. The Lord is my banner. There was an atmosphere over these people. The Bible said Moses sent soldiers out. When they returned, more than 18 battalions, he said no man was missing. Not one. Not one man was missing. They fought wars without casualties. I prophesy over someone, as you make up your mind to live pure, the presence of God will tabernacle over you. I said the presence of God will tabernacle over you. He said, him that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High abides under the shadow of the Almighty. He shall say of his God, he is my refuge and my fortress, my God in whom I will trust. He shall be my shield and my buckler. See, 1,000 shall fall by your side, 10,000 by your right hand, it shall not come near you. I decree and declare, the presence of God is your banner. Sit down for a moment. The presence orchestrated by purity. You think Satan is not smart? He saw that Job was hedged by God on every side. Nothing could harm him. And he went to provoke the guy. It didn't work. Use his wife. Curse God. If you break the hedge, the serpent will bite. Most of us use impurity to break the hedge. Your business would have been intact until you became creative about carrying women to go and sleep with them in other country. Your family would have remained intact until you deployed intelligence on how to change figures in the office, and you didn't know what you were doing was breaking the hedge. And then the glory that covered your life, that brought protection, that brought honor, suddenly lifts and you discover you are naked. Was that not the case of Adam? Carried God's glory, carried God's presence until he rebelled. Power of purity. Number 2, it attracts favor. Daniel chapter 1 verse 8 to 9. It's not everything you achieve by men laying hands on you. There are certain things that principles provoke. But Daniel proposed in his heart that he will not defile himself with the portion of the king's meat, nor the wine which they drank. Therefore he requested of the eunuch that he might not defile himself. See the implication, next verse. Now God brought Daniel into favor and tender love with the eunuch. You refuse defilement. It will look like a disadvantage for a while, but over time, what favor will provoke will be more than what you would have achieved for yourself using human intelligence. Genesis 39 verse 2 to 9. Look at Joseph. The Bible said in Romans 15 verse 4, the things that were written aforetime, they were written for our learning, so that we through patience and comfort of the scriptures might have hope. Look at the things written aforetime. And the Lord was with Joseph. You will see why God was with Joseph. It was purity. And he was a prosperous man. And he was in the house of his master the Egyptian. So even slaves can prosper if God is with them. And his master saw that the Lord was with him, and that the Lord has made all that he did to prosper in his hands. Because of God's presence, he was promoted. And Joseph found grace, which is also favor, in his sight. And he served him, and he made him overseer over his house. In all that is his house, he put in his hand. But why did he have this kind of favor? You will see that in verse 9. And it came to pass, from that time, he was made overseer in his house, and over all that he had, that the Lord blessed the Egyptian's house for Joseph's sake. And the blessings of the Lord was upon all that he had in his house and in the field. And he left all that he had in Joseph's hand, and he knew not aught he had, save the bread which he eat. And Joseph was a goodly person and well favored. So the master didn't even know his wealth. All he knew was